Hey church, I just hope that I'm finding you in the middle of a great week this week, and I just wanted to talk to you today about something that's, I guess, always valuable for all of us, and that is finding a leader that we can relate to. If you think about it, a lot of the leaders in our world, whether those are government or military or social or our pastors at our churches, sometimes, a lot of times we have leaders, with quote leaders, that are hard to relate to. It makes them difficult to follow at times because you know that leader doesn't really know what you're going through. So how can they lead you if they don't know who you are or what you're going through? I think that we would say that they live in a world, or they live in a way that we can't even relate to, especially when we start looking at the people who lead our culture in our world. Wherever position or place that they are, they often live lives that we cannot relate to at all because they have lots of money and power, and we just live normal lives typically. And what I thought would be to look at the counter to that, and to look at Jesus Christ and what makes him an actual leader that we can relate to. So I found this article by John C. Maxwell, who I know very little about, but he had 4 ideas that were ideas for being reachable as a leader, which I think would be very key to being a good leader. And so his 4, I thought they were very good, and I think we can find Christ-like traits in all of them. So the first one is know your values. That's know what you believe, know the things that you stand for. And if we're Christians, if we're believers, then we get these values, or we should get these values from Scripture. So if you believe something or you hold to something, and then you can't back it up with Scripture, you should reevaluate that. Everything that we believe and that we hold true to and dear, we should be able to back up with Scripture. So know your values. The second is know your value. Know who you are. Know what you're worth. Know what you're good at. Know what you're not good at. Just know yourself. And I think one big key part of this for us as believers is that we must recognize that we are children of the King. We belong to him. We are valuable because of him. And that is a crucial part of knowing your own value. And then we could spend a whole lesson just on that. But number 3, know the value of others. If you're going to be a good leader, as Jesus Christ was and is, when he was on earth, he knew the value of others. He sought out guys and girls that would help him to do the ministry that he was seeking to do, to reach the lost of the world as Jesus Christ came to do. Know the value of others. Know what they're good at. Know their strengths and their weaknesses, and where they're at. Pay attention to the people who are around you. And then finally, know how to add value to others. And I think that you take all of the other stuff, know your values, know your value, and then know the value of others. And I think you take all 3 of those, and then you go, how can I help lead those who are underneath me or who are following me, however you want to say that, and make them better? How can I add value to them to make them more valuable for what we're accomplishing? And Jesus Christ does this, and Brother Joe spoke about this, I believe, Sunday, and he talked about how Jesus had many different disciples, and then he had a group of 12, and then he had a group of 3. And you can see that in just by reading the story of Christ, that Jesus poured into those disciples and made them more valuable. Not with anything of who they were, but mostly because of what he was doing for them. So I think all 4 of these points are great points to make about a good leader. And like I said, you can look to Christ and find all 4 of these things that he does very well as a leader to those who follow him. And he still does, even to this day, that he intercedes for us, and he sharpens us and strengthens us, and he's constantly working on us. And we know that we are all being worked on as believers every day of our life if we're willing to be worked on. So if we look to the book of Hebrews, no one particular verse, it's just if you just sit down and read the book it's yourself, you can find lots of references. But basically, I'll give you a little sum up. The first several chapters are just telling you who Jesus Christ is, how he came to this earth and lived. And they lay out the principles that I think make Jesus Christ a great leader to follow. And that's that Jesus did not stay up in his place of power and authority and where he didn't have to be part of anything that we do. He actually took himself down, came down and lived a life. He was subject to temptation. He was subject to mortality and all of the things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. He didn't have everything. He wasn't rich. He wasn't. He worked a regular job. He lived a normal human life, and he came down and showed us that it is possible to live a better life than the one that we live. We'll never be perfect like he was. He does have that advantage in being the Son of God, that he did do that, but he did face the same things that you and I face every day. And that is something I think that's very admirable and makes him a worthy leader to follow. So I'm glad that you guys joined us. I hope that you will join us this Sunday for service, and just keep watching our videos, liking and sharing them as you see them. And we hope to see you guys soon.